I've spent the last 2 months with the iPhone 15 Pro, and today I want to talk about the good, the mid, and the bad that I've experienced with this device, because there's so much that I enjoy, but there is one thing in particular that has been driving me mad. But first, the good stuff, and at the top of my list here is USB-C. It's just the best. I thought that I actually wouldn't end up charging my phone all that much with USB-C because I have MagSafe chargers all around my place, but that has not been true. You realize when you have a common cable that charges all of your devices, you end up charging your phone with that pretty often as well. It's not always going to be something that you need, but it's there and you appreciate it every time. And I mean this genuinely when I say, if Apple changed nothing else about the iPhone 15 but to USB-C, I still think it'd be worth the upgrade. The other big physical change, titanium. I've sort of gone back and forth on this because while I don't think it looks or feels as premium as the stainless steel that Apple used before, the weight difference is phenomenal. It's so light, it does not feel like Apple's newest phone, even though it is. But because the titanium edges are curved now and your phone is more prone to being damaged, I've been rocking this clear case from Rhino Shield, who sponsored today's video. Not only does this do a great job of protecting your phone, but you still get to enjoy its natural look. Rhino Shield's Black Friday sale is now live, and you can save up to 55% off on things like this new clear case that is actually 23% thinner than the last version, but it does not yellow. Plus, with 11 feet of drop protection like all of Rhino Shield's cases, you don't have to worry about your phone breaking if you drop it because of their proprietary shock spread technology. Now, if you do want some more color and texture in your case, there's Rhino Shield's Solid Suit lineup, which is more comfortable than ever before due to matching the curved edges on the iPhone 15, and it even has their best grip yet. Or for an even slimmer look, check out the Mod and X series, which you can use just as a bumper or with a replaceable backplate that you can customize and adds a bit more protection. By the way, are you thirsty at all? Because Rhino Shield also makes this dope AquaStand water bottle that keeps your beverage hot or cold for up to 8 hours and doubles as a tripod for your phone. Finally, environmental sustainability is important to Rhino Shield too, so cases can be easily recycled because they're made of their proprietary monomaterial versus other cases which are made of blended plastic. So use my link in the description below and head over to their website to grab one of these cases for your iPhone, but hurry because these deals won't last long. A huge thank you again to Rhino Shield for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get back to the iPhone 15. Overall though, I do think the move to titanium was worth it. I think the weight reduction is great, and if you rock a phone case like most people do, it just feels way lighter in your hand, which is a huge benefit. Okay, last thing in the good section, Apple fixed the photo processing on the camera. So basically last year with the iPhone 14 Pro, they debuted the new 48 megapixel sensor, and I noticed a lot of my photos just did not look right. It was a situation where the 13 Pro that I had the year before seemed to do a better job even though it was lower resolution, but that's just because I think Apple had tuned the sensor better. And this year, they obviously heard the criticism from a lot of folks, including myself, and the photos that I'm getting out of my 15 Pro this year are ridiculous. It actually feels like a step change. The sensor is just tuned to perfection. The colors look 1-to-1 with what I am experiencing with my own eyes. They're not over processing it. They're not trying to do something like Samsung to make it bright and poppy. They're just giving you what you see. And that is what I personally want in a camera, and I think that's genuinely what most phone users would pick if given the option. I think the iPhone is back on top for photos. I think Google had it last year, and the iPhone's back, baby. They did the work, they spent the time. This sensor on this new phone is just phenomenal. Okay, next up, the mid features, and a lot of these I flip-flopped on since launch, starting off with the thinner bezels, which still look absolutely incredible if you're not using a case, but if you are using a case, they just kind of look the same. I thought the impact of the thinner bezels would be more noticeable, and they're there if you look, but they've just kind of faded into the background. I can straightforward tell you that I don't really think about them anymore, and I'm glad they're here, but it's not like a significant reason you should buy this phone. Okay, the action button. I have mine set to my flashlight because I have realized that I don't really know what to do with my action button. I feel like a lot of people are starting to run into this issue. Listen, at worst, the action button is good, and at best, the action button is great. If you're somebody that really uses crazy shortcuts or you want to do a function like opening the camera with the button, it is nice that it's there. But if you're somebody like me, you've always had your phone on silent from the day you get your phone until the day you get rid of it, it's an added feature. And you can do that now. It's fine. I don't know. I thought it would be a bigger deal. I don't honestly use it that much. Maybe once, twice a week. It's cool when it's there. If it was taken away tomorrow, don't think I would really notice. Okay, rounding out the mid is battery life. This phone has taken me for quite a ride because at first my battery was not looking good for the year, and I'm not sure if my phone was just indexing over the first few days or if I was just using it a lot because it was the new phone. But my battery life lately it's been fine, all right? I wouldn't say it's any noticeably better than last year. I think internally the battery is 3% larger, so it does last just a bit longer if we are getting technical. Most of the time, it gets me through a day. But I just know that this is the cycle I fell into last year where initially on my 14 Pro, it did that. And then as the battery naturally degrades over time, you start having to charge earlier and earlier before the end of every day. And I can see myself talking to you 200 days from now, and the iPhone battery life is going to slip into that bad category, just like my 14 Pro did at the end of its battery life cycle. And the thing is, Apple's added some new battery settings on these 15s to try and extend the life of your battery, like allowing you to charge to 80% every night instead of 100, which will help you go through less battery cycles, therefore degrading the battery slower. But the problem with that is 80% is not enough battery to do anything. I tried running this setting for a couple of days, and it's dead, like multiple hours before bed. Apple just needs to put a physically larger battery or work on the battery tech to make it last longer. That is the solution. Not software changes, not like trying to use the same battery. No, we just want bigger batteries, Apple. And as we stop talking about the battery and move into the bad section, the things about the iPhone 15 Pro that I think Apple missed on. The A17 Pro chip was a huge mistake. I remember watching the keynote and I was really confused why Apple did this huge gaming section. Because I know some people play games on their phones, but the 100 million people that buy new iPhones every year, I don't think that the vast majority of those people are gaming on their handsets. And some of the stuff that Apple announced of the A17 Pro chip inside were really impressive. Things like 3nm architecture for the first time and ray tracing on a smartphone. That's cool. But it's not actually useful day to day whatsoever. Let's be honest. When's the last time your iPhones felt slow? I mean, unless you have an iPhone 7 or an iPhone 8, I would venture to say you probably haven't said it's slow. It's probably the battery is the main reason you upgrade. Why does Apple not just focus on making the most efficient chip possible? Why are we working on a mobile GPU that's super powerful? Again, I'm not saying that what Apple has done is not technically impressive, but if it's faster performance or better battery from a more efficient chip, there's one clear answer. And I just think Apple's been misguided focusing on performance when every iPhone user would appreciate better battery and efficiency over a crazy ray tracing GPU. Because I love playing video games just as much as anybody else, but Subway Surfers can only look so good. The chip though, man, it's not the only thing that's been bugging me about this phone. It's the camera system. Now, a few minutes ago, we talked about how good the cameras were, and I stand by that this is the top dog for actual quality this year, as long as you're about 8 inches away from the camera, because the minimum focus distance and focus in general on this camera sucks. So minimum focus distance is the closest a subject can be to a camera before it gets blurry. You can see this on iPhone cameras. You can see it on the super expensive DSLR that I'm shooting this video on. Once you hit a certain point in front of the lens, whether it's a couple inches or a couple of feet, you just cannot get a clear picture. And for years, this was something that you never really noticed on the iPhone, because up until the iPhone 13 Pro, it used to be set at exactly 150 millimeters. Specifically, that is 5.91 inches, which really isn't all that far. But on the iPhone 15 Pro, the minimum focus distance is a bit further out. It's 200 millimeters, or 7.87 inches, is the closest you can have an object to the main lens for it to appear in focus. And sure, 2 inches doesn't seem like much, but it's something you'll notice pretty much immediately if you're coming from an older iPhone. Like if I go to shoot this tree, you'll notice immediately I get an icon in the bottom left-hand corner and my screen goes blurry for a second. This is because the iPhone realized the object was way too close to focus for the main lens, so it switched over to a lens with a lower minimum focus distance. For example, on the ultra-wide camera, that minimum focus is 20 millimeters, under an inch, because it is a macro lens made for getting up close to things. But here's where the problem arises, because the ultra-wide lens is a lower quality lens than the main one. So whenever you switch over there, yeah, your image is in focus, but the optical clarity is lower and it is significantly worse in low light. And most importantly, it makes you think about the photo you're taking. Wasn't the whole point of the iPhone so you could just pick up your phone, take a photo? I mean, I know that the automatic switching to the macro and ultra-wide lens, that is supposed to alleviate this. But at the end of the day, you end up getting a lot of photos that just look really bad. And if this issue, by the way, sounds vaguely familiar, it's because it should. Because Apple actually first changed the minimum focus distance on last year's iPhone 14 Pro. I thought for sure a year later, if they perfected the color profile, they would also make the software hardware experience of the lens switching better. And I feel like it's gotten worse. On top of the auto switching, which Apple uses to compensate for the focus distance, I swear that the focus in general on this 15 Pro's main lens is worse than last year. And it's hard to prove this objectively. It's something I've just felt while shooting, but I'll just show you an example of trying to focus on something that I know I am 8 inches or further away, and the phone just will not get what I'm holding in front of it in clear. It just stays blurry, and then I have to try a bunch of other things or go to the ultra-wide lens. And the only way I found to solve this is by using Halide, which is a third-party, really good camera app. Notably, Halide has manual focus built in, so you can really see just where the sensor can focus closest to you. And sure enough, I tested it out, I got a great photo, but when I try to do it in Apple's camera app, it just refuses to focus at all for some reason, even though I know it can. I still really like this phone. Like I said, and I stand by this, USB-C, worth upgrading to. I will deal with the camera for USB-C. I will deal with the camera for the way that the screen looks on here. I will deal with the camera for some mid-battery life. And yes, I will deal with the camera for the action button as well as the titanium design. Because at the end of the day, this is the most exciting iPhone we've gotten since the iPhone 12. And they nailed 9 out of 10 parts of it. That's my final score. We're so close. We're so close to that 10. Just give me better battery and make the minimum focus better, man. That's a perfect phone. That's a 10. All right, that's a 10. Love you guys. Thank you for watching. Huge shout out to the sponsor. Check their stuff out down below, linked in the description. I've been Sam. Hope you're doing well. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.